There is this weird thing that happens when you want to be consistent on YouTube. You tell yourself you need a better system, more discipline, and maybe a stronger schedule or more motivation. But then, when it is actually time to record, the problem is not always that you do not care. It is not always that you have no ideas. Sometimes the problem is way more annoying than that. Starting feels too heavy. Sitting down, pressing record, entering the creative version of yourself, it feels like this whole event. And if starting already feels like a mountain, you will probably avoid it more often than you want to admit. I know that feeling from Riova too, you know? Sometimes it is not even the video itself that is hard. It is everything I attach to the video before I even begin. The title needs to work. The script needs to be authentic and so that I like to record it, right? And it also needs to stick somehow to you. The thumbnail needs to make sense and the message, it needs to fit the series. And somewhere in the background, there is this bigger question. Is this channel actually moving? Is this video going to help someone out there? Is this good enough for the thing I'm trying to build? And suddenly it is not just one recording session anymore. It is the entire future of the channel sitting on my chest or on your chest while you are still trying to say the first line. That is where a lot of creators lose consistency. Not because they are lazy, not because they are not made for YouTube, but because every upload becomes too emotional expensive. Every video becomes some kind of proof that you are not good enough, that your idea isn't worth something out there, proof that people care, proof that you are not just another awkward person talking into the camera, hoping this somehow becomes a real channel one day. And when a video carries that much meaning, of course, you start waiting for the perfect mood. Of course, you want the perfect idea, and of course, you delay it. The process became too heavy to enter. This right here, this video you're watching is part of the Created Reality series. A series about what it actually feels like to build something on YouTube, Not the polished version where you're always inspired and the upload schedule looks perfect. The real one, a slightly or even big awkward version of it. The version where you have the idea but still procrastinate for 2 days. The version where you record the intro 5 times and somehow every take sounds worse. The version where the channel matters to you but you still feel weird calling yourself a creator. And today, the message is very simple. The easiest way to upload consistently is to make YouTube even easier to start. And that sounds almost too basic, right? But it is probably the thing most early creators ignore. They try to solve inconsistency with pressure. They make a bigger plan. They promise a harder schedule. They say, this time I will really push. But if the process itself is heavy, pushing harder only works for a short time. You might have one strong week, maybe two, but then life gets normal again. Energy drops and one video underperforms. Then you suddenly feel like the whole thing is too difficult to return. Not because your dream disappeared, but because the system was built for your best version, not your real version. It is easy to plan for your best version. That version is clear, focused, excited, full of ideas, maybe even a little delusional in a good way. That version thinks uploading twice a week sounds completely realistic, but the real version has normal days, slightly tired days, days where the script feels flat, days where the camera feels weird, or where you do not have some big emotional reason to create, but you still want the channel to stay alive, right? And if your process cannot survive that version of you, then it is not consistency. It is just a motivational burst. So the goal is not to build the most impressive workflow. The goal is to build a workflow you can actually re-enter. That means fewer steps between ideas and the recording, less friction between I should make a video and I'm recording right now. Because that gap is where a lot of channels quietly die, you know? The creator still cares, the ideas still exist, but every time they think about uploading, the process feels annoying, unclear, or emotionally loaded. So they delay. Then the delay becomes guilt. Then guilt makes the next video feel even bigger. And now consistency is not just a practical problem anymore, it is emotional. For me, One of the biggest lessons with Riova is that the setup matters more than I wanted to admit. If recording feels like I have to rebuild the whole world every time I resist it, if the script needs to be perfect before I allow myself to speak, I will resist it. If every video has to be the best representation of the entire channel or of myself, I will resist it. But when the format is clear, when the setup is ready, when the idea is already chosen, when I know what kind of video I am making, the whole thing becomes much easier to enter. Still, not always easy, I have to admit, but accessible. And accessibility is what consistency needs. That is why simple systems are so underrated. They do not feel sexy. They do not feel like some advanced creator strategy. They do not make you feel like a genius, but they work. A simple talking head format you can repeat. A simple idea bank you can trust. A recording setup that does not take 25 minutes to prepare. A rough structure you understand before you sit down. These things are not boring details. They are the reason you can come back when your energy is average. And average energy is where most of your creator life will happen. A lot of beginner creators try to create the future version of themselves too early. They want the editing of a full-time creator, the scripting of a pro, the visuals of a bigger channel, and the depth of someone with years of experience. And I get it. You want to take it serious. You do not want your videos to feel cheap or random, but sometimes your standards grow faster than your capacity. And when that happens, the channel starts feeling like something you have to survive instead of something you can build. So the answer is not to lower the mission, it is to lower the friction. That is a different thing. A lower standard says it doesn't matter. A lighter process instead says it matters so much that I need to make it repeatable. Maybe the editing stays simple for now. Maybe the intro does not need to be perfect. Or maybe a format can be more direct. Maybe you batch ideas when your mind is clear. So recording day is not also idea day, identity crisis day, and the channel strategy day at the same time. One or two simple changes can make the whole process feel more human. For example, I have creativity days and administration days. Creativity days to record and admin days to structure the whole thing. This is also where ego gets involved, and I say that with love because I know it from myself. Sometimes a simple system feels too small for the vision you're in your head. You imagine the channel becoming something meaningful, so the current process feels like it should already be impressive. But early on, you do not need a process that looks high level. You need a process that keeps the channel alive. A channel that stays alive can improve. A channel that collapses under its own pressure can not. And over time, you build the confidence, the pressure, the skill set, and everything. So if you want to upload more consistently, do not start by asking, how do I force myself to post more? That's the wrong ranking. Ask, where does the process become too heavy? That is the real question here. It is choosing the idea. It is writing the script, or is it setting up the camera? Is it the editing? Is it the fear that the video will not perform? Find the heaviest point and make that one part easier. Not the whole journey, just one part. Because consistency is not built by fixing everything at once. It is built by lowering the cost of returning. For example, if ideas are the bottleneck, do not expect yourself to invent a strong idea right before recording. Keep an idea list during the week. Maybe even on your phone, you have it always on yourself. Write down everything. If recording is the bottleneck, make the setup as ready as possible. If editing is the bottleneck, decide what your videos actually need right now and stop adding polish that drains you without changing the message. It is simply one rep, one lesson, one upload, one piece of the process. So treat the video like a rep, not like a verdict. A rep can be imperfect and still useful. A verdict feels final. It is what it is, right? A rep teaches you and a verdict judges you. A rep lets you learn, upload, and come back. Instead, a verdict makes every video feel like your whole identity is on the trial. If you want to become consistent, you need more reps and fewer verdicts. That does not mean you stop caring. It means you stop making one upload carry the emotional weight of the whole channel. And if this is the kind of creator reality you are in right now, stay with this whole YouTube playlist. This series is not here to sell you the fantasy of YouTube. It is here to make the reality feel less lonely and easier to understand. So keep it simple this week. Pick one thing that makes uploading harder than it needs to be and reduce it. Make the setup easier, make the format cleaner, make the ideal list more usable, make the edit lighter or the first step smaller. Do not rebuild the whole channel, just make it easier to start the next video. Because the creators who last are not always the ones with the most intense plan. They are the ones who create a process that they can return to even when the week is normal, the energy is average, and the first take feels awkward. That is the simplest way to start uploading consistently. Not by becoming more intense or waiting for the perfect creative version of yourself, but by making the process easier to re enter than to avoid it. Keep it human, keep it repeatable, keep the channel alive. This is how you slowly become the kind of creator who stays.